The blast came without warning. Leveling buildings, setting cars on fire, and shattering the glass in windows more than a mile away.
Please, we need assistance.
In an instant, 100,000 square meters of Lagos, schools, homes, businesses were destroyed. No wonder people thought this was a bomb.
What is happening to this country? Huh?
When the blast went off on the morning of Sunday, March 15th, almost 300 children were gathering for morning mass at Bethlehem Girls' College, just across the road. The next second, the school was gone. Miraculously, not a single girl died in the blast. But the school's principal, Sister Henrietta Aluka, was crushed to death as she tried to rescue her girls from the chapel. She was one of 23 people killed in this explosion, including this newlywed couple, Chisom and Emmanuel Uyamadu, who died along with their unborn child. As the dust settled and the fires were put out, the cause of the blast became clear. This was not a bomb. It was an explosion on a pipeline operated by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, or NNPC, the country's state-owned oil firm. And the NNPC was quick to shift the blame onto others.
It is very obvious that this explosion is caused by excessive gas exposed to this location from works of gas handling companies.
The blast, they told the press, was caused by a truck that hit some gas cylinders stacked near the pipeline. It's a story that absolves the NNPC of responsibility. A story that turns this blast into a tragic, unforeseeable accident. But is this story true? The explosion hit Shoba, a suburb of Lagos, Nigeria, on March 15th, 2020. Almost 5 kilometers away, a video captured the exact moment of the blast. It's a live stream of a Sunday sermon. At 8:56, the pastor pauses as a shockwave reaches his church. Amarachi and Komso, both 13, were also at church when the blast hit. But their service was in a girls' school, just meters from the center of the explosion.
We're in the refectory, having mass. Before I knew it, when we were doing the homily, we started seeing white smoke. The refectory exploded.
All the students were running for their lives. Well, I was still on the floor bleeding seriously. The rescue team told me there was zinc that fell on me, and then glass entered my hand, and then my ear.
I felt like the world was about to end, as if no help was going to come.
In the minutes that followed, everyone with a mobile phone began filming. But BBC Africa Eye found one video that was shot in the moments before the explosion. We tracked down the person who shot this clip, and using the metadata from her phone, confirmed that it was recorded at 8:51, 5 minutes before the blast. So what does it tell us? First, it shows that before anything had ignited, there was a major leak of vaporized liquid coming from a single source. It also gives us a precise location for that leak. This is the view captured on the girl's phone. We see the car park and the electricity pylon. If we move into Google Street View, we can see the roof line of a hostel belonging to the Bethlehem Girls' College. These details allow us to pinpoint the source of the leak. It was coming from behind the truck, precisely here. So what was leaking? The NNPC's explanation was that the truck collided with gas cylinders stored at a gas processing plant located near their pipeline. So could this leak be coming from gas cylinders? Satellite imagery taken before the blast shows that there was no gas processing plant at this site. And this drone footage, shot less than 48 hours before the explosion, confirms that no gas cylinders were stored here. Some of the videos filmed among the ruins do show gas cylinders. But these cylinders are more than 80 meters away from the center of the explosion. If they had been thrown this far by the force of the blast, they could not have all landed in the same place. But the most compelling evidence is in the video itself. We know that this clip was shot at 8:51 a.m., 5 minutes before the blast. No gas cylinder can contain enough fuel to sustain a leak at this volume and pressure for so long. We consulted 3 specialist engineers, experts in liquid petroleum gas, in petroleum pipeline safety, and in explosion analysis. All 3 confirmed that a leak of this intensity could not be coming from gas cylinders. That expert testimony is corroborated by those who saw the leak with their own eyes.
What happened? When we get there, we saw smoke coming out from the ground.
The BBC spoke to 5 other eyewitnesses who were within sight of the truck.
Now I found that there was a smoke coming out from beside the truck there.
Not one of them mentioned gas cylinders or saw a collision. But 4 of them independently told us the same thing.
I was coming back. That's why I said the white smoke. The white smoke was coming out.
From where was it coming out from?
From the ground.
The vapor was coming out of the ground. So if this vapor is not being released by gas cylinders, where is it coming from? We already know that the leak was here, behind the truck. Drone footage shows us that the source of this leak became the center of the blast crater. And if we look at satellite imagery taken back in 2009, we see something else. This is the trench dug to contain the NNPC's petroleum pipeline. And that pipeline runs right through the source of the vapor leak. So what could have caused the pipe to break? Drone footage shows the truck that was burned out in the blast. It's an Iveco 19038 that's unladen, weighs 8 tons. But on March 15th, this truck was fully loaded with rock and probably weighed more than 25 tons. It stopped here on the unsurfaced road, directly above the pipeline. At this same location, There's a dip in the land where rainwater has washed out some of the road's surface. And in the days before the blast, it rained enough to soak this area, softening the eroded soil on which a 25-ton truck was about to stop. This explanation that a heavily laden truck stopped on an eroded, unsurfaced road, pressuring the pipeline to breaking point, is an account that matches the available evidence. That explains the relevance of the truck. That corresponds to the video showing a huge spray of vaporized fuel emerging directly above the pipeline in the minutes before the explosion. And that fits with the testimony of 5 eyewitnesses who told us that this spray of flammable liquid drifted downwind until it met the naked gas flame of a tea cellar on the side of the road. But it is not a story that exonerates the NNPC. Responsibility can sometimes be hard to pin down, but not in this case. This is the webpage of the Nigerian Pipelines and Storage Company, NPSC, a subsidiary of the NNPC. It says in black and white that the maintenance and integrity of petroleum pipelines is the sole responsibility of NPSC. If we dig deeper, we find this. Industry regulations require the NNPC to protect the pipeline from washouts and from it being subjected to abnormal loads. Despite these regulations and the fact that their fuel line ran through a densely populated neighborhood, right next to a school, the evidence says the NNPC did not adequately address the erosion of the road surface, did not sufficiently protect the pipe from the truck's load, and did not maintain the integrity of this pipeline. And this tragedy is not a one-off. The pipeline forms part of the 2B system, a network that pumps petrol, diesel, and kerosene from Atlas Cove up through Shoba to the rest of Nigeria. On 3 other occasions in the past 14 months, explosions on this same section of pipeline have killed residents of Lagos. In Ijegun in July 2019, just 5 kilometers north of Shoba. In Idimu in December that same year.
Jesus Christ of Nazareth.
And a month after that in Abule Egba.
Please help us, the fire is coming closer.
All 3 explosions were blamed on vandals tapping the line to steal fuel. But whatever the cause, these incidents exposed at appalling cost the risks that this pipeline carries into so many neighborhoods of the city. It can be lethal. And long before the explosion at Shoba, the NNPC knew that. Dr. Ambisisi Ambituni, a Nigerian engineer and academic, has been warning about the danger for years.
What is happening to the operator? How is it so difficult for the operator to maintain the safety of those pipelines? If the pipeline was maintained and the integrity of the pipeline is up to standard, then some of those things can be avoided. And this is where NNPC takes a position where, as they did in this particular pipeline explosion, that, well, actually, that is an accident that we could not have avoided. And one of the consequences of taking that kind of position is that you deny yourself of the truth, and therefore you cannot learn from those incidents.
We put our findings to the NNPC. They told us
NNPC pipelines are strictly compliant with safety and regulatory guidelines. They denied the pipeline was inadequately protected and said there was no leakage prior to the explosion. They reaffirmed their explanation for the explosion's cause, that the truck hit gas cylinders at an LPG shop. They said despite there being no issue of negligence, they worked closely with the Lagos State government in providing a 2 billion naira relief fund to victims.
6 months after the blast, Amarachi and Komso are still not back at school. The school itself remains in ruins. But the stretch of 2B pipeline running through Abule-Ado has already reopened, and the danger has not gone away.
The pipelines that NNPC own is killing Nigerians. The oil and gas industry is supposed to be a blessing to our country. It is supposed to be the lifeline that saves our people and the people of Nigeria out of poverty. It is supposed to be the one thing that we should be proud of as Nigerians. Fix the pipeline and own up to the responsibility of a pipeline operator.
The Lagos State government has set up a relief fund compensating families who lost loved ones. These families have been paid 2.5 million naira, or $6,500 each. But the NNPC has not acknowledged any negligence or liability, and according to some of the survivors, has done nothing for those whose lives were destroyed. Underneath Nigeria's schools and homes, its oil keeps flowing.